Thanks for coming today, braving the cold weather. I'm hopeful. One of our special guests today is from Florida. And I'm hoping he takes this back with him because I'm tired of it. I'm not ready for winter yet. So again, thank you for coming and sharing your time with us today. Time is precious. I think it's our most valuable resource in life and in research and in general. And I appreciate you guys making the time to spend with us today. My name is Matt Link, and I'm the Associate Vice President for Research Technologies, which means that I used to be technical and now I do email. But I have a great division and team that I've grown up with throughout the years. I've been at IU for 29 years, which means I'm old. Not as old as Scott, but I'm old. And you know, what we do is we support the research engine at IU. And, you know, who are we? We're a bunch of folks, and we do a bunch of different things at a bunch of different levels. And we can go as broad or as deep as you want to go with your research project or your research direction or your problem or whatever it is you're working on or want to work on, which really sets us apart from a lot of different people. You know, I like to think of us as a really special group because we touch a lot at the university. And, you know, this is an older team picture. We've all changed and gotten gray. I think this is actually before the pandemic. So, you know, they wouldn't let us take this between, you know, 2019 and now. So maybe we can take a new one. So we specialize in consulting, as I said before, depth and breadth. High performance computing, so all the supercomputers you guys use, whether it's Big Red 200 or Carbonate or Quartz or Karst in the past or Big Red 2 in the past, those were all the systems we manage. The file systems and storage, lots of people like to call it storage. I like to call it file systems and storage because I'm afraid of Steve Sims in the back, which is file systems. And, you know, our groups manage all the research applications on those systems, including RED, which is the research desktop. We've got a group that specializes in data visualization, but they also do advanced visualization and a lot of 3D mapping, LiDAR mapping, point cloud stuff, which, you know, is where that field is going towards. And there are some synergies between research and HPC and visualization for sure. We do a lot of trainings and workshops today, for example, but we have a bunch more. So on our website or out on one of the Supercomputing for Everyone pamphlets out front that Robert's got is a URL to share the rest of the things that we do over the course of the year. And you know, I think I stole this in part from lots of different people, the last sentence there. And I think, as I said earlier, the most important resource we have is time. And I think our job is to help researchers, students, faculty, and staff reduce the time to science or reduce the time to discovery. And I'll share an example, and I know that my crew is tired of this example, but I like it. So we had a very well-respected researcher in medical and molecular genetics call a couple years ago, and high-powered researcher, big grant dollars, and very great collaborator with RT. She's like, "Hey, Matt, I've got to get this project done in the next 30 days because we have a grant resubmission, and my team's telling me it's going to take 811,000 hours." And I said, "Well, sorry about your luck, Tatiana." And I waited for all the air to go leave her office before she's like, and I'm like, "We'll see you tomorrow." So I took Robert Henschel and Steve Sims and some other folks up there to talk through what the issue was. And we were able to completely blow apart their workflow, give them a little dedicated time on our systems, and change what they were doing and how they were doing it. And from 811,000 hours, which is 92 years, they were able to run their first run in 11 days. They wanted a better run, so they were able to run it again. So those are the kind of things that we do just because we have the ability to look holistically across the environment and see what you're doing and how you're doing it, and offer suggestions on where you can find efficiencies. A lot of people get stuck in, this is the way that I have to do it, and I have to do it like this, and I can't go anywhere, and I can't go outside my box. And you gotta drop that and look for how you can be more efficient. Mandatory eye chart first thing in the morning. This just kind of gives you the scale of who RT is, right? There's a lot of people and a lot of different areas that we provide support for the university as a whole, and also external to the university as well. Okay, there'll be a quiz on this later. So I talked a little bit about that. We do advanced cyber infrastructure, which is the compute systems, storage, which is Geode and Slate, which are Luster and File and GPFS are the file systems. The SDA is the Scholarly Data Archive, which is our big tape library. Scott Michaels Group, Research Software and Solutions. We do all the software installations and manage the applications on the systems. We talked a little bit about visualization and digitization, and then of course, education outreach. And we'll have opportunities to talk about these things as the day goes on, maybe not in depth. I think we're not going to talk much about education outreach and support today, but we're always available if you have questions on any of these areas to have a conversation. A little bit about Big Red 200. Anybody have an account? Actually, anybody not have an account? No, don't have an account? Okay. All right, good. Big Red 200 is a HPE Cray EX machine. And it used to be a Cray Shasta before HPE bought Cray. It arrived here January the 7th of 2020. It was completely installed and turned on what, Matt, the 14th, 15th, 13th, couple days, 5 days. And from January the 20th until April of this year, it ran. It consumed electricity and produced heat. It was a little ahead of the game on operational system and management stack. And we worked through those issues with Cray and with HP and we weren't alone, right? And if you guys know the Shasta Cray EX lineage, we are one of the first sites to get one of those machines, but Oak Ridge National Lab, NERSC, Argonne, LLNL, and a bunch of other sites that have 3 letters that you can't name, have these machines. And we were all kind of in the same boat of, you know what, we got a great machine. It's just way early in getting it into production mode. So we had our trials and tribulations for the first year and a half or so. It's compromised. It has 640 node compute nodes, CPU nodes with 2 64-core AMD Rome CPUs. That's 128 cores per node. Pretty significant in the computational power on a per node basis for sure. 64 nodes, an additional 64 nodes that have 1 socket and 4 NVIDIA A100 GPUs for a total of 256 A100s. Now I'm hopeful that Mark and Caleb over there at the end, sitting there, they're our NVIDIA friends and collaborators. I'm hoping they got a suitcase of H100s to swap out from the A100s. We haven't talked about that yet, but we'll get to that today. Interconnect is the HP Slingshot. It was the Cray Slingshot. And it's your standard supercomputer that supports large scale applications. It supports single node runs, which we discourage, so we can get folks on the system more widely and using the full capacity. The other things that we offer are Carbonate and Quartz and our other systems that support the jobs that aren't as large scale that you would find on Big Red 200. We have environments that also have NVIDIA V100s and P100s kind of as a test bed to get you going on those different platforms in an effort to kind of onboard you to Big Red 200. And I'll be honest, we tend to discourage a lot of playtime on Big Red 200. We have other systems for that, and we encourage that playtime on those other systems. And playtime is in air quotes, right? It's all valuable effort. I get that. Quote from NVIDIA. It was on HPC Wire when we first announced it. This is a big deal for IU. It's been a big deal for a while. IU has traditionally, since 2006, which was, did I get that right, Matt? 2006 or Dave? 2006 for Big Red? Yeah. So Big Red was our first big machine in 2006. And we've tended to make the right choices in modeling our largest machine to be very similar, if not exact configuration of the large DOE machines. And we started that in 2006. And why does that matter? Anybody have a guess on why that might matter? We wanted to model a DOE, Department of Energy machine. So Department of Energy machines are big. They have a allocation process that a researcher at higher ed can get cycles on those machines. If we have a system that is similar, and they're very competitive cycles to get, if we have a system that's similar to those machines, we can help our researchers prove that their code is scalable in that environment. And then when they write their application to get cycles on a DOE machine, they already have proven that they can run in that environment and it works and their code is scalable. So we've tried to model ourselves on the large machines. And it's not just to say we have a large machine, right? Because that's not really the point. For some people it might be, but I think for us in here, it's not really the point. We talked a little bit about that history from 2006, 2019, we retired Big Red 2. And in January 2020, which the big significance for January 2020, it was our bicentennial. It was our 200-year anniversary as Indiana University, and our then president, Michael McRobbie, dedicated our machine, Big Red 200, as one of the bicentennial dedication events for the university. It's a big deal. And as I gave him a tour of the machine, I did my best to tell the truth and not chop down the cherry tree. But it was close, hanging on a thread of when we were going to get it going. March kind of stalled a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. Pandemic, supply chain issues, as you're working through a new system that is very complex, bleeding edge. You now have all those issues to deal with, to work through. And, for some things that took us 6 months to deal with, would have taken a couple weeks pre-pandemic, just because we could get people here, we could have, equipment and to do that. So it was an absolutely exercise in patience. I did not have a gray hair before January of 2020, and there you go. So what do we got today? So it'll be a busy day and a lot going on. I think that one of the things that I've always found refreshing in when we do workshops like this is we're very open. We're open to questions. We're open to comments. we're open to, thinking about doing things a little differently. So we appreciate your input and we value your time. So if we're heading down a path that is not quite as efficient or where we need to go, that's feedback is helpful. So thanks for having me up here. I'm excited for today, and I'm excited about our partners at NVIDIA being here. Thank you.